Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of the Chosen One Star Wars podcast here on Game Domain. As always, I'm your host, Jason, joined by my co host, Captain.
What is up?
And all right, so last Monday, on May the 4th, rather, we got the final episode of the Clone Wars Season 7. This is a series and a specific season that people wanted to see basically since the show was canceled back in 2014, shortly after Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012, and then went down the path of using Rebels and not extending the Clone Wars. Dave Filoni always had a vision of how he wanted to continue the Clone Wars and how he wanted to see it go. He never got that vision until back in Star Wars Celebration of 2019, I believe. They announced that Clone Wars was saved and they showed us the first trailer. And then a full year later, this February, we got the beginning of the Clone Wars Season 7. Clone Wars Season 7 is now completely finished. It's been 12 episodes, and this finale was just absolutely something incredible. So we're going to start off with talking about the finale the specifics of the finale itself, and then we're going to get into talking, after that, we're going to get into talking about the entire season as a whole and how it stacks up into the rest of the history of Star Wars. And so, Captain, why don't you just start off by giving some thoughts on what you thought of this finale and what you liked about it?
Well, okay. It was okay. That's as far as I will say on like the spectrum of bad to like great. It was okay. It wasn't brilliant, and sadly they didn't do what they should have done, which is extend it out quite far.
Yeah, I don't know why there was
Past
only.
the
Yeah, I don't know why it was
past
only
the
like
20-minute mark.
25 minutes too. Yeah, that was very weird.
But it was at the same time it was a really good episode, and I do have a few problems with it because of they basically smashed everything together to get this final episode, which really what they should have done is they should have cut out the stupid shit with the two sisters.
Yeah,
That
I
was
know.
pointless, and
Just
it would have
completely.
given us what 4 extra episodes
Yep.
yeah. So I mean, any animators out there who want to go back and put in some new episodes, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll back you on Patreon or whatever, but the episode itself was quite interesting. So it kicks off right after Rex has had his chip out, and they do.
And
I
they're kind of in a
knew,
standoff with the other
yeah,
clones
I
looking at
knew
them.
for a fact that at some point in the episode we would get the whole cliche thing of, yeah, no, I'm still like under control and stuff, but I've captured her, and I knew that was
Yeah.
coming, but
Yeah.
I did not expect the part where Rex was like, I can't shoot her because she's not technically a
I
Jedi.
know. I thought that was gonna work, actually. I
So did
thought that
I.
that was gonna be how they got out of it, and I was
Well, it
very,
did for
very
a little bit, didn't it?
shocked when Jesse was like, "No, that's not. I don't
Well,
believe
that
it."
was that's what I like when Jesse put his guns down. I was like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
that's fuck!" And then he just puts them right back. I'm like, "Damn!"
I
So
think
that
that
was
would have been
like,
a cooler way than having the whole ship go down. I thought that would have been cool if that's kind of how they escaped it, because they used the fact
yeah,
that Ahsoka's not really a Jedi. But then obviously, like the clones would have to go back and tell Anakin, and then to Vader now, and it would be, the whole thing, and Vader would
yeah.
still
It
have to
wouldn't
know that
set up
she's
her
out
for
there.
being hidden in the Rebels. There, I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out which one it was. Also, I'd like to point out that we actually got to see what exiting hyperspace without a hyperspace protective like bubble around you actually does, because that's the reason the ship crashes.
Yeah.
Maul physically with the force rips out the hyperspace engine,
Which was
and as
completely
soon as the
bad.
ship leaves, I was like, "Wait a minute, why is the ship so damaged?" Because the ship was falling apart, and I was like, "Oh, that's what happens if you don't go through hyperspace with a
Yeah.
a hyperspace generator." So I was like, "That's pretty
Yeah.
cool." Also, the whole race to get the ship, like she was doing a Star Killer holding
Yeah.
Maul there, and
Or a
then
Rey, because she apparently has that
no,
power too.
let's not no. I'm sorry, but the Star Wars movies end at Episode 6. I recently went back and watched 7, 8, and 9, and I was like, wow, these are shitter than I remember. Anywho, it was quite interesting to see just how strong in the Force Ahsoka is also, because she gets shot a bunch of times,
Yeah.
and she's like, it happens when she's trying to like stop Maul from escaping in the shuttle, and she
Yeah.
gets shot like 4 or 5 times,
I
and
think she
she's
gets
just
hit in
like,
the hand one time
Maul,
too, and she kind of like
oh yeah,
kneels down.
but she's just like, Maul, you ain't going nowhere. And
Yeah.
then it's only when Rex starts getting hurt that she turns around, she's like, right, let's let's do this.
Yeah.
Plus, we have to pay respect. So please put an F in the chat for the droids.
Yes.
The
Oh my
droids
god. The
that were helping
droids
out Ahsoka
were
and
just
stuff.
completely amazing. I didn't realize, but R7, that was one of the droids that was with her because that droid was on the ship because that was that was Anakin's starship, and that droid was on that ship because that was Ahsoka's like personal droid. Apparently, he was
Yeah.
in like some of the previous seasons of the Clone Wars, which I didn't put two and two together and realize that was her personal droid. But yeah, that was definitely
It
emotional when all
was.
those droids went down.
It was nice to see that at the end when they dug the graves for the clones that they could find, R7 was actually there. Like they tried to reassemble him.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, if you look under the Y wing, he's there, like obviously he's been blown to bits,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
R7
Because I
is
think his
there.
head,
Like
yeah, his head got
in
shot off.
so
Yeah.
well, yeah. So maybe they'll fix him. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a spin-off series.
Yeah, they should.
Rex and
I mean,
Ahsoka. You know,
I'm surprised they didn't fix him or they couldn't have fixed him because R2 got his head shot off in the trench run by Vader when Luke was
well,
going
he
down
doesn't
to
get
destroy
his
the
head
Death Star.
shot off. He gets grazed.
He gets grazed, but yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
this one is like a full blown,
full sacrifice. Yeah,
God,
full
it
sacrifice.
would. I was not
very sad
expecting
to
it
watch.
to be so dark when
Oh, yeah.
Jesse was like, kill the droids, and
Yeah.
the angle that the clone troopers were at as they shot the droids, like the droids were off screen, which made it darker.
Yeah.
But it was just like fucking kill them. It was like Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
Jesse, calm down.
And it's because like the Clone War, I mean it's more like this in Rebels where it's very kid friendly, and that's why you don't see too many like vicious deaths like on screen in these animated shows. But in Rebels you get absolutely zero of them. Yeah, but that's why I was surprised that in the Clone Wars that in this season that they started that those three droids just went completely down and they just shot all of them. I was actually pretty surprised that they shot all of them because that that would probably get a lot of kids upset. But
well, I was surprised that they showed Maul like impaling people with bits of wall and decapitating a dude and holding a guy to the point where his arm gets cut off by a door. I was like, what? The last few episodes were that awesome. It's like, why couldn't the previous episodes be as awesome as this?
At that point, they were almost like, all right, screw the appealing to the kids thing.
We
have so many older people who were like in like elementary school and middle school when they watched like the Clone Wars when it came around in 2008. They're like, they're 12 years older now. They're all in college or graduated. They can watch this stuff. They were just appealing to that audience rather than like a new young group of kids that came along with Rebels.
Well, what did you think of the Darth Vader thing at the end?
I thought that scene was. I wasn't like you. I wasn't really a massive fan of like the episode itself. I thought that it was kind of like it was just like a little escape sequence. But that scene was just absolutely incredible. And there's one unique thing that I didn't realize about the scene when I watched it, but I saw or two things actually that I saw in like some analysis videos and like breakdowns and Easter egg videos. I watched a bunch of them just to try to like absorb everything. And so in the shot when it kind of goes on to first off, when Anakin looks off, or Vader, I keep saying Anakin because it's the Clone Wars, but now he actually is Vader. When Vader looks off into the sky at, I can't remember the name of the bird. Do you know the bird I'm talking about? Apparently the bird...
It's the bird that is the sister.
Yeah, the sister. Yeah, the bird...
I can't remember the name of the bird, but it's like when I watched it, I was like,
Morai or something like that. And the bird that's there, and that's the bird that you see in Rebels in the World Between Worlds episode when Ahsoka's saved by Ezra.
Yep.
And that like the bird's there, and Ahsoka's like, "Oh, Morai, you're here too," whatever. That bird, and it's kind of looking down on Vader, saying like, "Look what you did! Like now, like you erased the good side of the Force. Now it's balanced in your eyes, but now like you're so far to the dark, like there's no going back from here." And in that shot, when it zooms in on Vader's face, and I didn't realize this when I was watching the movie. After he has like Ahsoka's lightsaber in his hand, only one of them, which is the other thing I wanted to point out, I'll get to that after, has Ahsoka's lightsaber in his hand, and they zoom in on his face and on his mask. His right eye, which is when you're looking at it on his left, his right eye is like the black Vader mask you can't see through. His left eye, though, you can see through into Anakin's eye, and it's Anakin's face, like in Rebels when he gets like the left side cut off by Ahsoka, and you see Anakin's face, which doesn't really make sense because he was burned up. But and it was Anakin, and it wasn't the yellow eyes, the yellow Sith eyes that we got in Rebels. This Anakin was his eye was not, it wasn't yellow, it was like normal regular Anakin, which I thought was a very like nice, like unique, subtle touch that most people probably didn't pick up on, like because I didn't pick up on it watching the episode for the first time, and people now like find out about watching it for a second time, or in watching YouTube video breakdowns with guys who analyze every single shot of the whole entire
Oh god, yeah.
episode. But I mean, I just thought that was pretty incredible, and the fact that like so many people noticed that right away and posted it all over Reddit and Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. I just thought that was a really really cool addition, and it just shows that Anakin in a way may kind of have some regret, and he's like, I mean, there's no going back now, and then he kind of just turns away and starts walking away with Ahsoka's lightsaber. But I mean, we'd assume that he thinks that Ahsoka is dead, but it's almost like Ahsoka only left one of the lightsabers because obviously she has the shorter one. There's a name for it. I forgot what the shorter one's called, but she has the shorter one. I guess still with her, and but she only dropped one of them. So Vader, I mean, I'd assume that Vader knows that she's not dead because obviously he didn't see any remains of her, but he still like understands like the impact of that like his apprentice that he cared about so much like now like just out of his life, and he's like, look what I've done, I've destroyed everything I've ever known and whatnot. And obviously in that scene he's also thinking about, he's like, I lost Padme, and now I lost Ahsoka, I lost Obi-Wan. I mean, he lost his best friend, he lost his wife, and the mother to his two kids that he doesn't see until later on. And then he lost his apprentice who he cared about so much. So that scene was just very powerful and impactful. And then also, I mean, just another quick point is the stormtroopers look so much better in the Clone Wars animation than they do in the Rebels animation. In the Rebels animation, they look like so cartoony, but what we got of them in this episode was much better. Just how they look in the Clone Wars. And then that final shot, I just think completely encompasses everything that the Star Wars prequels set out to do, and it just completely vilifies all three movies and the whole Clone Wars series as a whole, because it's like rising from the Republic and the clone army that Sidious manipulated in order to gain power is Anakin, who's now Darth Vader, just kind of walking away. And it just and just with him, on the glass of the mask, it's just like in the rubble of the Jedi, the Republic, the clone army, and everything that was good about the universe merging from that is what is bad about the universe, and it's just Anakin turning to the dark side, and it's just Vader right there walking off, into the sunset, if you will, and ending the show. So I thought that last shot was just absolutely beautiful. Another thing that I wanted to point out was when Maul escapes. I saw a lot of people online saying that, and I kind of noticed that when Ahsoka kind of lets him go, he kind of looks down, and on his face it almost seems like he has some sort of remorse or regret of kind of just
Well, yeah, for
leaving,
leaving her.
yeah, just like leaving Ahsoka and Rex kind of there just like to die, because he probably suspected, he didn't think they'd make it out, he knew that they were going to go down and die, and it looks like he has a little bit of that remorse or regret, but obviously it's Darth Maul, he's crazy, he's set in his own ways, and so he's just going to go off
Obvious.
there. But I also love the bit about like how Ahsoka is just so like morally centered to the point where she says to like Rex, like, I know they're trying to kill us, but it's not, and they're willing to die to follow their order, but it's not going to be me who's going to kill them. And like like Rex sets his gun to stun, and she just stays with those morals, and then obviously burying them all at the end in that like powerful and emotional shot. And we kind of got the last of that we got of Ahsoka in this series is just like the last that we got of her in Rebels, when in that shot in the Rebels finale when Sabine's like talking about like what happened to everybody like years later, and what like years later, like I think it's like a couple years after or before Return of the Jedi and whatnot. And then you get the shot of Ahsoka in like that like white robe or whatever. She's still alive at that point. She has like a cane next to her. I mean, that's kind of like the same exact shot that we got. She's wearing like the same robe. It was the same style of her looking off at the grave. And then if obviously the symbolism of her standing there looking at the wreckage, and then Vader just like a few minutes later in the episode standing there. um I mean, it was just it was a powerful episode. I liked the end half when they just kind of got there, and then they were burying all the all the clones were buried, and then Vader came in. I liked that a lot better than the first half, because like even so much in episode 11, I felt like it's kind of just like a it's like a typical Star Wars animated show escape sequence. where there's not really much power to it until we get into the later stages of this episode. Well, I still wish that we would have got that this would have been a lot longer, and we would have gotten some sort of like some semblance of like what's going on with Obi-Wan and Anakin and like just something like that where it wasn't just Rex and Ahsoka and Maul on this one ship. I wish we would have seen a little bit of a broader picture of Order 66 rather than just how Ahsoka escaped it. But I mean, we got a montage of Jedi, dying in Order 66 in Episode 3, and Dave Filoni set out to what he wanted to do was show how Ahsoka and Rex escaped that. It wasn't really about the whole Jedi as a whole because we've already seen some of that. So, I mean, yeah, I think the episode was very, very good. It was a very impactful finale, and I just wish I'm a little surprised they almost didn't like just take these last 4 episodes. I mean, obviously due to the current situation, they can't release it in a theatrical release in a movie theater. But they could have just thrown all 4 of those episodes up on Disney Plus like as its own like movie. But I guess with the failure of the Clone Wars animated movie, like back from 2008, I guess they felt like it was just better as a TV show because that's really what the whole Clone Wars series is meant to be. But I did see a lot of people pointing that out as they could have kind of combined all of these 4 Siege of Mandalore episodes and kind of put them together. But yeah, so Captain, do you have anything else to talk about on the specific, specifically on the finale, and then we'll get into kind of the broader scheme of things and the season as a whole.
Just while you've been talking, what I've been trying to figure out is because right at the end we see that as the ship is going down and the hangar doors are opened, we get a really good shot of the planet as well as a really good establishing shot when we jump into the future as Darth Vader picks up, Ahsoka's rusted lightsaber.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out if that is the same planet that they go and pick up Rex, Gregor, and Wolf from in Rebels.
Oh yeah, because it has like that. It has like that dusty,
so
kind of.
I googled it, and the planet we see in the end of the Clone Wars is Seelos, or I think it's pronounced. It's Seelos. And I was trying to figure out where Rex lives in Rebels, and I'm trying to figure out the name of the planet, and it is Seelos.
Yeah, so it is the same planet.
So they've managed to connect together the Clone Wars and Rebels by having it end on the planet where they discover Rex in Rebels, which is actually really good because Rebels connects Rebels and the Clone Wars is the animated series that connects all the Star Wars universes together, excluding 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So it was quite nice to see it actually end there. That was really nice.
Because I was wondering what that planet was. And then I was thinking, I was like, have we seen this planet? But then like when Vader came back and there was snow on the ground, I was like, I really have no clue as to what this planet would be. But also, I'm not sure if we know like how far after Ahsoka and Rex were there that Vader goes there, because if that is the same planet, obviously we know Rex kind of hides out there. Also, a lot of people online were saying what happened to Wolf and Gregor. Like, did they go through with Order 66 and then get there and then like kind of go away from or then somehow like get the chip out and then go away from, they didn't become stormtroopers? Or how did they get the inhibitor chip out? How did they get it out beforehand, before Order 66? But yeah, I mean, yeah, that is interesting that it was the same planet. But
Gregor was MIA.
Well, yeah, because they thought he died when they left. Yeah.
So that probably affected his chip. As for Wolf, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That would be a nice comic to see, actually.
Yeah, and because Gregor and Wolf are both like kind of completely like senile when we see them in Rebels. They're both kind of like crazy and out of it. Obviously Rex is like, the same Rex that he's always been. He looks different, he's older. And then obviously, Rex is, George Lucas kind of just threw out, oh yeah, that old guy with the white beard who's bald in on the Battle of Endor with the rebels on the ground troops on the Forest Moon. Yeah, he's Rex because they can just kind of say that because he looks.
I called that shit as soon as Rex was introduced, and we knew about accelerated cloning and stuff. I was like,
and in Rebels, when he looks find a way to like that, yeah.
Yeah, I knew they were going to find a way to connect him, and as soon as they were like, because they retconned the old guy who is one of my favorite guys, along with Beatnik Rebel Trooper. There is a Beatnik Rebel Trooper in that because of the time period it was set on the Battle of Endor. So like background characters, those two are my favorite. Plus one of the only other black people in history in the Star Wars universe who blows up like over the Battle of Endor. I was like, right, okay, so what? It's just Mace Windu, one random guy, and
and Lando.
Lando Calrissian, is it now? Okay, and we've just killed one of them. All right. Like he's also one, and just random A-wing pilot who's Asian. Like
Yeah.
the very few ethnic actors we see in the Star Wars universe are
Just
actually my favorite people because everybody else has got the weird 70s kind of like pedo stash. I'm like,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
no, let's go with the other guys.
yeah.
But as soon as Rex was shown in the trailer, like the reveal trailer for him in Rebels, I was like, they're gonna retcon him to be the
Yeah.
old guy from Endor, and
Yeah.
then they're like, yeah, no, that's Rex. I was like, called it. So that was quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, all right, so now that we talked about the finale episode itself, now we're gonna kind of look back on the whole season as a whole. And I'm gonna be honest, from like the standpoint of looking back on the entire season, I think these last four episodes completely retcon the first eight. I mean, the Bad Batch arc was great, but I just really wish that we would not have gotten that Martez sisters arc. I mean, since we got if Lucasfilm was so set on having that Martez sisters arc, I would have rather them had it be the first four episodes and then given us kind of like 8 episodes of leading up to Order 66, Order 66, and the aftermath, rather than have the Bad Batch arc there just to like kind of like get people back into things, get Echo back, and then waste 4 episodes with the Martez sisters arc. I mean, I just wish they would have not had the Martez sisters arc and brought Ahsoka back in some other way. Um, and I mean, just one of those Martez sisters episode was just. I mean, you could, we've been arguing, for a couple
Do
of
it
weeks
in.
on the show that the
You could do it
whole
in one episode.
yeah, and the whole we've been arguing that the whole arc was a waste, which you could say, oh, whatever, it brings Ahsoka back, and whatever, that's a fair point. We don't like how they went about doing it, but yes, it does bring Ahsoka back. It and then brings her to Mandalore, and kind of ties everything in together back. Like meeting Anakin, and then because she says in Rebels, the last time I saw him, he was rushing off to save the Chancellor. We saw that final moment between them, and then her and Obi-Wan talking. And then her talking with Windu and Yoda. So we see her kind of like, so it weaves her back into things and having her doing this Mandalore mission, while all of the other, while like having her final encounters with all these other Jedi masters well, Anakin's not a master, but with, the other Jedi masters and her master Anakin, kind of like wrapping up like her relationships with them. And then I mean, that was all tied in kind of toward with her going to Mandalore and having this mission on Mandalore. But there's still one whole episode in that Martez sisters arc, which it angers me so much. I believe it's episode 7 of the season, the third episode in that arc, where they start off in the jail cell and they end off in the
And
jail
end up
cell.
in the jail cell.
And it was just completely useless and pointless. In Star Wars, we have seen people try to escape and end back up in the same place that they started. But it wasn't a complete waste of time because it happens over a half an episode. It happens over a few minutes of a movie. It happens over an act, and then they get right out of it. But to take up an entire episode and just make it completely pointless, and nothing of key plot significance happened to that episode other than Bo-Katan saying, keep an eye on her, about Ahsoka. I mean, that was it. Just wondering why she was there. So I mean, looking back on the season as a whole, that kind of like angers me, and I wish they would have made it a 16 episode season, maybe a little bit longer. I think 12 episodes was a little too short, especially with how they did this Martez sisters arc. And I just still wish that they would have really cut one of the first two arcs and just made a whole nother arc revolving around leading up to Order 66 and whatnot. Maybe having Ahsoka back and like with Anakin and Obi-Wan and with the Jedi for like a little bit longer. Obviously, she's not back as a Jedi in the Jedi Order, but just having her kind of like back in the swing of things for a little bit longer. Other than just seeing Anakin for 5 minutes and then seeing Obi-Wan for 5 minutes and then talking on a hologram to him and then Yoda and Mace Windu. But I mean, yeah, I mean the whole season as a whole was very good. I think, but I think that the tail end, the last 4 episodes that we got, definitely retconned the beginning, and it kind of in my opinion, it saved the season because I think that if the Siege of Mandalore wasn't as good as what we got, I think a lot of people would have said, wow, that was kind of disappointing to have all this hype for it to come back. And then, we just have the Bad Batch arc, which wasn't really needed, but was still, interesting. And then we have the Martez sisters arc, which just mean absolutely nothing. And then if the Siege of Mandalore was underwhelming and lackluster, which it definitely was not, if it was like that, then I think the season as a whole would be viewed very negatively by the fan base. But yeah, so I mean, so Captain, what are your thoughts kind of on the whole season as a whole? And yeah, just like the whole season as a whole on how everything and went together, and what you liked about everything and what you didn't like about everything.
Right. Quick thing, the Martez Sisters 4-story arc thing. I personally, if people want this, and you can post it in the chat, I will go away, I will take all 4 of those episodes, and I will edit them down into 1.5 episodes that perfectly tie together, getting the Ahsoka from one place to another. I've thought about doing it with the episodes 7, 8, and 9, because I do have, expertise in editing, both sound and video, so I will gladly cut up those fucking movies and make them a lot better. Or I'll do it for these, and then what we can do is we can get together and we can get little toys, and we can make like hand puppet style episodes to fill in and make the entire season better. Dave Filoni, if you want to see that, get out, like email me. But overall, the season started off really good. Okay, the Bad Batch stuff was perfect.
Yeah,
it was a nice way of us rescuing like a clone favorite, getting him back into the fight, and then seeing him develop into someone new. That was nice. I liked it. Plus the little quip from Obi-Wan, like, say hello to a Padme next time you see her. That was funny because, he just he knew. I was like, yeah, that's the Obi-Wan we know. The Montez one, pointless, don't need it. We only need an episode and a half, which what it should be is Ahsoka crashes onto the platform. She's like, blah, 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 quip, quip, quip. The other person is like, can't trust anyone, blah, blah, blah. Cut to her sister walking in going, I've got a job, I need a pilot, you're the pilot. And then, at the end of the episode ends with them dumping the spice and getting captured. And then halfway through the next episode, they're rescued and then they meet up with blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
That would have, episode and a half, 2 max. I did like the Mandalore stuff, okay? Going back, Mandalore has always been one of the places that I've always been fascinated with, because Mandalorian Armor is designed in a way that makes it super efficient, super flexible, but really durable. But when you look at the architecture, it's blocky as shit. It's like we're inside of a computer. So I was like, right, okay, how the hell does that work?
Yeah.
So seeing the whole mix between Mandalore going from a warrior race to a non-warrior race, and then having to go back to a warrior race in this one to overthrow Maul and stuff, that was quite nice. I liked that. Funnily enough, in the Ahsoka comic, Order 66 happens while she's on Mandalore. That would have been better to see than her on a cruiser. But I do like the fact that her being on the cruiser with Rex leads up to Rex being on the planet he needs to be for Rebels. That was nice. I liked that. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The stuff we saw with Maul could have been a little bit better.
He could have had a little bit more of a purpose rather than just kind of being on the ship.
We could have seen more of his evil doings with the Syndicate. That would have been quite nice. Like his trade with like spice and all that kind of stuff. That would have been nice. I do like the fact that we get to see what's his name from Solo. That's quite nice. He was
Dryden Voss.
Dryden Voss. Yeah, it was quite nice to see him.
He's a very underrated villain in the whole series.
He is. He's a good villain played by a great actor.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see that, and that was. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have his scars in that, so that would have been cool to see. But overall, the whole Mandalore and the way they captured Maul, I was going to say Mark for a second. They captured Mark.
I thought you were going to say Martez. The Martez.
But the whole thing of like Maul knew shit was about to drop. He knew the Emperor was about to drop the mic and wipe out the Jedi. So he was like, Ahsoka, we can team up and stealth in and kill him before anything happens and the Jedi are dead. Because really, I don't think Maul wants the Jedi dead.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
if he doesn't have anything. If the Jedi are wiped out, he has no one to continuously fight against. Like Obi-Wan will never be sent on a mission to fight against him again. So all he's going to be doing is running a spice empire that the Empire want, because the spice running and stuff is a thing that helps the Empire as well. So it's kind of what's the point? Because slave labor and stuff, the Empire join in with it eventually and start conquering worlds. So Maul has a purpose. being a syndicate leader. That was quite nice. So it would have been nice to see something around that. And the little interaction we got between Ahsoka and Maul showed a little bit of development. There wasn't a lot, and it kind of did a full circle. It started with I don't like you, Maul, and then she was like, do you know what, Maul, you have a purpose as it is.
Yeah.
If it's causing a distraction or anything like that, let's team up, as it were. But it's not a proper team up. I still don't like you. And then right at the end, as Maul betrays her again and steals the shuttle, she's like, Maul, you're not going anywhere. I don't like you anymore. Come back here. And
that's
overall,
kind of how Maul is with everybody, because he tricks them. Like we see him do it with Ezra and Kanan and Ahsoka in Rebels. And he just he always does that, and he kind of pulls the strings and tries to trick people, and then it's all for his own good and his own benefit.
Indeed. Overall, I think if you look at all of the episodes we have without the Martez sisters in, if you look at it from that to that, and you can glance over the Martez people because it brings Ahsoka back into it, but all I'd really watch is I'd watch the part where Ahsoka's on a bike, Ahsoka crashes, then jump ahead to episodes where they dump the spice, they go on the mission, and do it that way, the way people will go and watch the chronological order of the Clone Wars, which is fun to do, even though you jump from season to season all the time.
Yeah.
So if you are if you've waited for all of the episodes to come out, because I have a friend who has not watched The Mandalorian because he's waiting for season 2 to come out, like an idiot.
Wait,
I don't get that.
Why doesn't he just watch season 1?
I don't know, but
obviously he knows who Baby Yoda is, but has he been spoiled?
No, he knows nothing about the Mandalorian.
He doesn't know Baby Yoda exists.
Nope, he stayed away from everything Mandalorian, and if he saw something with Star Wars in it, he'd click away from it and all that kind of stuff. He's a weirdo. He's the kind of person that plays one game at a time to complete it 100%, and you're like, join me on this game, and he's like, no, I must complete Persona 5. Like, right, okay. But if you haven't watched any of this season of Clone Wars because you want to go and watch it from start to finish, do it that way. Start from the Bad Batch, jump through the 4-episode arc of the Martez sisters, and then focus down on the last episodes, because you will actually really appreciate it from the kind of wide range view of cutting them out, because it really gets down to the nitty gritty of everything. And if you take them out, or just like I'm planning on doing, cutting them up and putting them into an episode, you will really appreciate how they keep to the theme of, we join the Clone Wars, coming towards the end, but we join it as it's still in its height, and then over it we get to see the little bits of deceit that are weaved in by the Emperor and all this kind of weird stuff, and then it culminates with Order 66, which takes 2 episodes, but those 2 episodes set up, how Rex escapes, how Ahsoka escapes, what happens to the clones, and then at the end we get to see the final death of Anakin Skywalker. He's already lost, his wife and his best friend and all that kind of stuff. But with Ahsoka being MIA, there's always that small thread of Anakin with inside of him. But when you see him pick up the lightsaber, and we get to see the Anakin's true eye, but when he realizes, oh, she's dead, he then, as we get the walk away in the visor, he's walking away from Anakin. He's walking away from the Clone Wars. He's walking away from all that. He's leaving the good that was Anakin Skywalker and becoming the bad that is Darth Vader. That was something that not a lot of people picked up on, which was quite a thing. But then again, I'm probably just looking into it. But it ends on a very nice. We get a shot of a clone trooper visor, and I think when the Darth Vader part takes place just before episode 4, like maybe a year or 2 before episode 4, still when the Rebels is kicking on. So that it's quite nice that we're seeing the Empire. We're seeing the new regime. We're not seeing clones. We're seeing people, because clones were phased out by this point, apart from if they were, instructors at the academy and all that kind of stuff. So we're seeing that, and then with the Darth Vader walking away from Jesse's visor, he's leaving it all behind. So it's like, if you are watching from episode 1 to episode 12, it gets dark, but it's good. It's fucking emotional. And I mean, even if you were just like, at this point, as soon as the clones turn to 66, if you're just like, I don't like clones anymore because they're evil now, it don't matter. They get their comeuppance, but it was when Jesse died and Rex was burying his brothers, that shit was emotional to a point. It was almost Green Mile for me, because in Green Mile I cried like a baby when they killed Big Guy. So yeah, if you overall perfect, cut out the Martez. I will personally make this. We will post it if we can on this channel. Okay, I will like try and get something down, but I will take the 4 episodes and the part where Ahsoka comes back, and I will chop them up in a way that keeps the theme. And then if you haven't watched any of season 7, you don't have
can
to deal with
watch
4
this
episodes of
instead. Yeah.
Martez. You can deal with 2 episodes, which perfectly takes it, and then you can go back to watching them proper. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's overall it's not the best season of the Clone Wars, but it's stuck
Yeah.
true.
I still think season 5 was probably the
Oh
best
yeah,
one for
it
sure.
was. It was. There are. God, I think I need to go back and watch all of them in chronological order.
Yeah, I was thinking of I did that. I did that before this season. I did it over January. I think December. Well, what kind of actually right
Mm.
starting from when Disney Plus came out, I started rewatching, and I think I finished around December or January, in order to get prepared. But yeah, so is there anything else you have to say before we
No,
wrap
I
up?
think I think I managed to cover quite a lot of topics in my big ramble right there. So
All right, so all right, yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in to all of our Clone Wars season 7 reviews. Obviously, we're still going to be going forward with this podcast. Very light on the Star Wars news during this time, so we figured. I actually have not told Captain about this idea yet, but next
hello.
week we are going to be bringing you guys each of our top 5 favorite characters in Star Wars.
Oh,
So
that's
me
easy.
and Captain are going to be each ranking our personal favorite Star Wars characters. So no, it's not who we're saying the best Star Wars characters. So there's no need for you to angrily comment on why you disagree, because it's just our opinion on
Oh, that'll be
our
interesting.
on our favorite characters. So we are going to rank our top 5 favorite Star Wars characters for you guys next week. And going forward, the next couple weeks we'll probably be doing more of that content where we rank our top 5 favorite whatever in Star Wars. Obviously, we already did our individual rankings of every single Star Wars movies. That was episode 2 of the podcast. So if
And
you're
that got weird.
yeah, and yeah, and we had a
So
lot
go
of
watch it. That was weird.
we had a lot of like odd occurrences that were the same exact
Oh yeah.
thing. Like we had the same number 4, I think we had the same number 7, and like completely just in like random stuff. And the rest of our list weren't really at all. I mean, not at all similar, but they were pretty different. The rest of our list, and then some spots we just had the same exact movie. So but yeah, so we'll be bringing you guys our personal top 5 favorite Star Wars characters next week. So please tune in and check that out. And also go back and watch all of our previous Clone Wars season 7 episode reviews. We have reviews for I think every single episode with the exception of
Indeed.
one. I believe it was episode 2 or episode 3. But every single one basically except that episode we have a review of on the channel. And yeah, so stay tuned to this podcast for some more Star Wars content, and we'll be bringing you guys Star Wars news as we hear it moving forward. All right, stay safe.
Also, well, before we go,
Okay.
also, if it's going to be possible, I will get those episodes edited together so we cut out the Martez sisters arc. I'm not. You think I'm making a bit or anything like that? No. If you want to see it on this channel, I will find a way to make it possible. I'll talk with everybody here that runs it, and we will post them out, and you'll be able to watch it that way instead of having to sit through 4 episodes. I think
Yes,
if the
that would be very
community,
good.
wants it, and Disney doesn't turn around and be like, we're gonna get you, we're gonna
We're
put you
going
on
to
this barrel
attack a
because you've
YouTube
edited
channel
our
with
stuff.
35,000 subs.
Yeah, if we make no, if we get like a decent amount of feedback from you guys, I will go in and I will bring that, and then I'll bring it to you and post it on this channel so you can enjoy that and not have to sit through possibly the worst arc on TV ever seen, even though it does have the greatest pilot in the galaxy. So let's
And the
let's
greatest, the
hope that
fastest
gets
ship,
around.
faster than Millennium
Oh
Falcon, the Starlight Angel.
God, yeah, no, no. But it's been a fun thing to cover with you all, and as we said, stay tuned for more.
Yeah. All right. So see you guys.
Hmm